talking about what we do at the shop, as far as from an operational standpoint, and from a day-to-day standpoint of what is expected from you guys, as coming in as new workers, new in the business, new in the industry. So I'm going to show you an example of a men's haircut, a basic men's haircut. This is just a basic cut. You're gonna get these even in salons. You're gonna have men come in and they're gonna want a haircut because they're gonna expect you guys to know how to do it because you're professionals. So I'm just gonna give you a short example of a basic haircut and the steps that you have to go through for the haircut. The first thing you wanna do is your setup. And your setup is basically when the customer comes in, you set them, this is for me? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Customer comes in and you want to set them up. And as a barber, you're not supposed to go over the person's head. I'm going to turn them around so you can see. So you're not supposed to go over the person's head. So what you're actually supposed to do is you're supposed to go around them like this. You do a setup. You don't really want the cape to touch their neck. You want to actually have a neck strip that's going to separate the cape from touching their skin. All right. And like so.
Right here. Okay.
And if the buttons, a lot of times, like this is Justin, by the way. He's actually a barber in the shop that we own. He has a big neck, so a lot of times customers' necks don't actually match up with any of the buttons. So you want to try to get one of these. It's good to have these. All right, so you use that, and then it's also good to fold. Is that too tight? I'm sorry. To fold the paper down over the actual cape. All right, and then which is pretty much set up. Now what you want to do is the client consultation. Client consultations are very, very important because this is where most barbers mess up the haircut. You have to communicate with the customer. So you want the customer to tell you how they want their haircut, how short on the sides, how long on the top, or how short on the top. And then if you're not sure if you guys are communicating correctly, you want to go to a style chart or go to some type of pictures. I always ask my clients to bring me a picture of what they want, because this way we can't go wrong. I know, and he knows exactly what he wants, and then we can't get it wrong, we can't miss. So, client consultation, I know Justin, he gets his haircut for me all the time. He usually gets bald on the bottom, or we call it skin tight and bald on the bottom. And he gets a 5 or a 4, depending on if it's hot, if it's in the summer, he usually gets a 4, but in the wintertime, he usually gets a 5. So we're gonna do bald on the bottom, 5 on the top, which I tell everybody, this is the easiest way to cut someone's hair. You find out the length on the bottom, the length on the top, you do both, and then you blend. You blend the rest of the hair. It's very simple. You keep it simple. So the first step I'm gonna do is I'm going to ball out the bottom of his hair. Okay, he's really big for this chair. This is a small chair for a big guy. Get it done. Okay. All right, so now I showed you the blades before. The 5-hole blade is basically a 0 blade. It gives you like no hair. It's a ball. You want to cut a bald head, or you want to ball the sides, you use a 5-0. Okay? Grab a comb. I already cleaned all my utensils, so. And then you also have to ask the customer, there's several different ways to fade a person's hair. You can do what's called a mid-fade. A mid-fade is about here, the middle of their head. You have a drop fade. A drop fade is you want to kind of start at the bottom of the point, and you want to drop it down under the occipital bone and kind of come back around, and then you kind of blend. It's a slower blend, and it's a longer blend. Some people like it a little bit high, and they call it the boosie. Boosie fade, and that's like almost like a military cut where the blend is very short. You're gonna boil them up real high, get the length on the top, and then you're gonna blend like probably about 1 inch or 1.5 inches worth of hair. So I'm gonna do somewhat like a drop fade. I'm gonna start a little bit lower today. We normally do a mid. This is your guideline. This is where the fade is going to start, and this is very important. And you always want to make sure when you're doing your guideline that the line here and the line here are the same. Okay. So you want to look, kind of give a look, see in the front. Then you go back to the back. Now you want to bring the two lines together. Okay. And as you can see, this machine gives a very smooth and clean cut. That's why I prefer these machines over the rotary motors, because they give a very clean cut, and especially for straight hair. For straight hair, I definitely prefer these over the walls or any other machine.
What's the brand you have?
This is a BGR, but there's several different ones. These are BGRs. But there are several different machines like this one. Hold on a second. This happens, which it happens a lot with people with big necks. You have to redress the neck. Baby, is there garbage?
Yeah, it's in the back.
Okay. Yeah. You want to do that in a barber game immediately. I want to drop too many neck strips on the floor, but today we're way too early. But yeah, these are high-end clippers. You want to talk about, $200 clippers, but as they say, you get what you pay for. Right. So it's very important to have the right tools for the job. It makes your job much easier if you have the right tools. Okay. Now, step two. Step two, now you want to take your one blade, and it's so easy because all of them, they have the numbers on them. One, you take your one blade. I've already sprayed them, but I'll spray it again. And you want to make a cut of about an inch above the line you already made, the existing line. Let me come on to this thing so we can see it. Okay. Excuse my voice. And you want to just make sure that it's evenly cut all the way around. And I actually started using, most of my clippers are cordless.
I was going to ask if you prefer the cordless.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of cordless clippers. This is where the industry is going. But some of these old motors, the BGRs, they didn't have the battery life. Some of the newer clippers coming out have a much longer battery life. They have a lithium battery. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna skip, because I skipped a step. Remember I told you to do the bottom first, then do the top, then blend. So I'm gonna go to the top, and I'm gonna do a 5 on the top. We're gonna make sure it's nice and even, and then we're gonna go back to the fade. So I apologize for skipping that step. Now we can go to the cordless clippers. These are also numbered, of course, as you guys already know, from a 1 to an 8. I'm gonna grab a 5. Not taking much off. So. And then in a situation like this, it's not taking much off. You want to let your client know. I usually turn them to the mirror, because a lot of times your clients think they know what they want, but they don't actually know. They'll tell you, "Oh, give me a 3 on the sides," but they really want it to look like this, but they don't know how to say it. So a lot of times I turn them to the mirror, or I cut, facing the mirror, and let them see exactly what's going on. So right now, even though this is a 5, it's not actually taking a lot off, so I'll let my client know. And if they still want to keep it as a 5, we'll keep it as a 5. But a lot of times they'll be like, you know what? I'm going to put a 4 on there. Make it a little bit lower. Okay. It's very simple. It's just a lot of people are a little bit nervous about it because you just haven't practiced it enough. But once you start practicing, it's like you can do it in your sleep. The guards do all the work. Okay. So now that's a 5. Justin's hair is very straight, so you can actually look, and see anything that hasn't been cut. You can, and sometimes for your finished work, you may have to do a little what I call freehand, which is you take the clipper without a blade on it, without a guard on it, and you kind of just freehand and just knock down anything that's sticking up. So that's part of your finished work though. That's towards the end. So now we're gonna go back to the clipper with the blades, and I'm gonna take a 1.5. Actually, no. I'm gonna go to a 2. The reason I go to the 2 is because I want to take all this bulk. See this bulk on the edge here? I'm gonna take all this bulk out with the 2. All right?
What's the difference between going up and down?
It's a very good question. Who asked that? That's a great question. All right, so there isn't a difference. It's a preference. Because I actually, to be honest with you, I don't cut his hair this way. I cut down. But to teach the class, I'm teaching up because most people cut up. I actually like to go from the 5 to the 4 to the 3 to the 2 to the 1, and then I start to blend. But, for this class, it's a little easier to go up to show the transition because you can't really see the transition when you go from high to low. It's very subtle. You can't really see it like you can with this when you go up. But that was a good question. Thank you. Any questions, just shoot them out there. Any questions you have? Now, to not go too close, too high up, I have one more blade that's higher than 2. It's a 3, so I'm gonna do that for this area here. That's a little bit higher because we don't wanna take it too close, too high up, because then it starts to bring the fade in. You wanna keep the fade streamlined like this, straight up and down. Another thing, another tool of the trade that you need for straight hair is this.
Yes, sir.
You guys, if you don't have one, get one for your arsenal. You need this. This right here, the flat comb, and make sure the flat comb you get is very, very thin because they have some that are like super wide. The thinner, the more precise. So, yeah, the flat comb, you wanna use the flat comb for same thing, taking the bulk out. So now you see there's still some bulk. So what you do is you comb down and you come up. Anything that's in the comb gets cut. You come down, you come up. You come down, come up. And you also want to learn this trick too. You want to learn how to kind of turn the comb in your hand while you, so you don't have to fumble with it. You can kind of keep going. If you keep moving, keep in the flows, you can kind of flow with it while you're doing the hair.
So what you're doing is you're putting that guide right in that comb and you're using that comb for the guide.
Absolutely. This is clipper over comb, and it's a very useful tool to blend the hair. You know, it's called finish work. So I'm pretty much finished with the top part of his head. So I'm doing the finish work on the top part. I still have a lot of work to do down here, but as far as the top is concerned, I don't have much more to do up here. So I'm using the flat comb for finish work. And I also use the chair. I don't move around the chair. I try to turn the chair as I need it, and I pretty much stay stationary because it just saves you a lot of. Just think about how much moving you're gonna be doing. You know, constantly around it. You know what I'm saying? You just kind of use your tools, and your chair is one of your tools. You use it. You move it around as you need it, up and down, side to side, and you know. It saves a lot of energy and a lot of time. Okay. Now, as I told you before, each blade takes out the line from the other. So now I've used a 1 blade and I've used, I believe, a 2. So now you can see a line here, right? So now I'm going to use a 1.5 to take this line out because I used a 1 here and a 2 up here. A 1.5 should blend this line out. I got to keep remembering to come to the side so Mike can get me. You always want to use a comb or a brush to comb your hair back down. I don't necessarily need to do it as much with Justin's hair, but with most people's hair, you know, it kind of gets bunched up as you come up on it, so you want to brush it back down into place so you can see how it's going to look, the finished work is going to look. You always want to have a system, because if you have a system, then you know time is a factor with everything you do, especially in this industry. So you have to have a system. When you have a system, you can kind of pretty much, you know how long it's going to take you to do each service. Okay, so you want to do like I do. I have 30-minute segments for all my app. So I have to make sure that all my haircuts are 30 minutes or less. So I have a system in place to make sure that my haircuts stay on time. And this is my system. It works to a T.
How many haircuts do you do like on the
Jackson.
Jackson, I'm sorry, this is Jackson. How many haircuts do you do daily?
Well, I supposed to start at 7, but I start at 6:30 every day. My wife, she gets upset because I go in too early. But, so basically every 30 minutes, from 7 o'clock on all the way to 7 p.m. It usually works out to be, she breaks up my lunch at from 2 to 3, but I always end up putting people in my lunch too. It's usually between 23 and 25 heads a day at $25 a head. So you do the math and you can figure out, I mean, Monday I did 18 heads on a Monday. So if you do the math, working 5 to 6 days a week, you can make about $2,500 a week, easily, very easily.
So the only day you don't cut hair is Sunday?
No.
Yeah.
Not now, because I started school.
I'm
So
sorry.
now
I think that I'm the one that broke the mold on that because I don't know. I didn't understand why. I think it's because people wanted 2 days off, but I didn't care. I just started opening on Mondays.
he used to work on Sundays. I made him quit.
Yeah, Yeah, yeah. I used to open on Sundays too, but
You get a tip on top of that.
yeah,
But then if
my
they
wife and I,
colors,
we agreed that it's best to
you
spend
add design.
family time on Sundays.
Oh,
So do you
It's
have
easy to do that in America.
Oh yeah,
do you have a mixture of clientele?
Absolutely.
Diverse?
Average haircut is between 25 and 30.
absolutely. We have a mixture of clientele, and we also have a mixture of barbers.
Okay.
Our barbers reflect our clients. So we have all different nationalities in our barbershop.
yeah.
And
We had an Asian barber. We had
Julia, we have a Latino
and
barber.
we had a Muslim barber.
Muslim barber, Caucasian.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
Not yet. All right. Diversity.
yeah. So what I did, real quick, because I know you guys didn't see it, I took this as a finishing clipper, and I blended out that bottom line like while we were talking. I probably should have. I'm not done, but that's what I'm in the process of doing.
But
So you know.